All right, so welcome to Wellness Break 360. This is our last one of 2020. And while that sounds kind of sad, I'm actually happy to say goodbye 2020. Let's hope for a better 2021, they're talking about vaccines coming out soon. Obviously, we're not all, maybe not all of us are even going to get them at all, but, maybe first of us will not get the first batch, first responders, et cetera. But, as we're allowed to at least get some people healthy and protected, that's a good step, right? So I advocate for you, Deborah. I think teachers need to be in that first group. I don't know if that's something that the board is trying to push or not, but
No, they're still working on just trying to figure out how to go back.
really, I would love to see teachers be able to be considered, in that first group of essential workers. So anyway, let's get to work with Wellness Break 360, and Michelle is going to lead our discussion first and perhaps give us a little breathing or a meditation. Are you able to throw something like that in first before we get started on your topic?
Always.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you're from a different part of the world, or good evening. And so I'm Michelle. I'm here in Los Angeles County, and welcome to Fitness at Home, no gym membership required. And it's good just to start off your day just with your self-care. And sometimes I just start off with some simple breathing exercise. So let's just start off with that. So you could sit back in your chair, get comfortable, and we're just going to do a few meditation breaths. So make sure that your hands are either like relaxed on your thighs, or you're going to have them down by your side. So sit back in your couch or your chair. And when I tell you, you're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. You're going to close your eyes, try to make sure you're in a quiet place as much as possible. So hopefully there's no interruption like children coming in and dogs and cats or birds, because they make some noise too. Okay, so this is concentrate on being in that place that gives you the most joy, that gives you the most, peace. And there's a commercial, I think it's a Cadillac commercial, and you might have seen it. And the mom comes home and her kids are doing all this like wild stuff. There's Christmas stuff on the dog. There's an older daughter who's like on her cell phone doing nothing, like she's acting like the kids are not going wild. And then she like closes the door and goes back and gets in that car. And that's where she has like her quiet and peace. So I love that commercial. It's like a reminder. I'm not even sure about the car, but I think it's Cadillac or something. But it's a great commercial about like self-care. That's how I took it. So just imagine that you are at that place, whether it's your car, it's your room, it's the beach. The beach is my favorite place to relax. The quiet part of the beach, not the crowded part where everyone hangs out. So sit back, shoulders are down, and relax, and go ahead and close your eyes and go to that place of peace. Take a deep breath, inhale, slow as you can, and exhale. You can continue going at your own speed. And exhale. Keep breathing. Give me some more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Breathe. And breathe out. And in. And out. All right, and open your eyes and let's come back together. So that's how I start my day. Get out of bed, I sit in the chair, and I start off with some meditation breaths, and then I do a prayer, and then I start my day. And then when something kind of comes up, I can feel my blood pressure rising, I sit down and do those breaths again. So sometimes I just have to do it a few times a day because stuff comes up. So thank you for watching this. So those are on the Zoom call or you're watching it on the social media live. Fitness at home. Now, one thing that's happened, I do work in a gym, but not currently, but I work at a YMCA. And actually, I worked there as one of the supervisors, but I've been furloughed for since March. We just started working. We just opened up doing some outdoor classes, but we're not allowed to do indoor. But we are offering like one class a day, that's outdoors, and people are still hesitant about that. And you got to think about what are your options, to keep yourself healthy and fit. Now, some of us, since we're not working and we have, less money, limited money, a gym membership, even though like it could be outdoor at a gym, we still don't have the funds for that. But we still need to stay healthy and fit. Maybe because we have young children, so we definitely can't get out like we normally can. So if we go do something, our children will have to go with us. Okay. But, when I started exercising, which was back when I was in high school, so this is like the early 80s, there weren't hardly any gyms at that time. And so how did I work out? At home. And then I was too young to even join a gym because I was like 15, 16 years old. And so we would go outside. That's an option, is to go outside, but sometimes people are still hesitant to do outside working out or going to a park even. Like me, I go to the park, but I like to go early in the morning where there's less people. But what can we do at home? So this is what we need to start off with. So get your little checklist and you can take some notes. So the first thing we need to always do is consult with our medical doctor. We need to make sure that our doctor knows what we are doing and that it's appropriate according to our medical background and or physical limitation. So always consult with your doctor. That's always the number one. And it has to be okay for you to exercise, because sometimes with certain people, exercise, they cannot do it for maybe a period of time because of their health background. But if it's okay for you to exercise, then you're going to have to make some decisions. Like, what type of exercise do you like? And then you have to like it, because if you don't like it, if you don't love it, you're not going to stick to it. So if someone tells me I need to go running because that's the best exercise in the world, I'm going to look at them really funny because I hate running. All right. I like to walk, but running. And people have told me I should run. I'm like, well, what about my bad knees? So every exercise is not good for everyone. So you have to think about, what do you love? And maybe if you haven't tried something, but if you haven't tried it, you're not going to even know if you like it. Now, a lot of times I know people hate to exercise, and I feel like they haven't found that one activity that, hey, this is cool. Now, I was in grade school. I hated all PE classes. I didn't like volleyball. I didn't like dodgeball. I didn't like soccer. I didn't like anything. And I was actually bad at it. And then I took a dance class, and then the teacher was actually like, hey, it was a different kind of a feeling. And I fell in love with dance. And I still teach dance and, till today, and take dance. And it's great because I love it. So that means I'll always do it. But I did find some other activities, but definitely not running. Okay. I won't even like run after a bus. I'll just have to catch the next bus if I had to, just letting you know. All right. But the best thing is, catch the earlier bus and you'll never be late. Right. So decide what you want to do. And then the next thing you have to consider is, if I like this exercise, do I know how to do the exercise correctly? All right. Now, think about this. We all can do a squat. With me, kind of shake your heads. Yeah, if you can do a squat. So really a squat is a very functional exercise. It means that like you sit down in a chair and you stand up, so each time you do that, which we do throughout the day, is that you do a squat. But do you do a squat correctly? That's the thing. Now, I had some people, I'm doing assessments, and I would just have them sit down and stand up. And they were out of alignment, which means that they could have like injured themselves. Like if your hips, knees, and ankle and toes don't go the same direction, So if your knee goes one way and your toe goes another way, you could injure yourself, like I did when I fell over a dog. My knee went one direction and my toe went the other one, and I pulled a ligament in my knee, put me out for 6 months. So how you do the exercise is important. Now, some of you might ask this question: what is the best exercise? Are you with me? What is the best exercise? Now, I can't tell you what the best exercise is. Now, for me, yeah, it's dancing and things like cardio kickboxing. But if you don't love it, it's definitely not the best exercise. If you cannot do with proper alignment and technique, it is not the best exercise. You want to be able to do something that you can do for the rest of your life, even if you have to modify some things. So think about that. That best exercise is something that you love and you can do it correctly. So alignment. So maybe if you can't do a squat in proper alignment, then maybe certain people should not do a squat or a certain thing like a lunge, because it has to be done right. Now, during a job interview, someone had asked me, it was a teaching job. It was for teaching a dance summer program for kids. And they had asked me about a particular program that was very popular out there. And you don't want to slander, but you have to look at things in different ways. And my answer was, like, kind of thinking what that exercise was about. I said, the exercise could be great as long as people are doing with proper alignment and form. And I did get that job. All right. That's what it really was about, was how you do the exercise. Now, sometimes people will think about, a lot of us could walk, right? You're like, yes, I can walk, but how do you walk? Here's a homework assignment for you. When you look at people when they walk, some people kind of walk kind of a little bit with a little swag, right? Some of them kind of walk more on their right foot or their left foot. Now, if you ever went to a physical therapist and you had maybe certain kind of limitation, they would have you walk and they would check out how you walk, right? And then it's like, you thinking you're walking all cool. And then it's like, the physical therapist is like, we need to work on some things, right? So you need to like walk evenly on the right foot and left foot. Your posture should be good. But sometimes we walk with our foot a little bit more like this or a little bit out. And that kind of like, especially if your shoes are worn out, and then we start to our walk, it throws off our walk, which actually can throw off our balance. So really, it's so crucial on how you do an exercise. Now, some people from the 80s, what I'm talking about, in the 70s and 80s, when we used to do a lot of exercise, it was all about jumping. We loved it, but was it really good for your body? Maybe, maybe not. In the long run, what happens if we do a lot of jumping, it can kind of catch up to us like it has for me. I now have osteoarthritis. Okay, I did years and years in jumping. And I even know I did it with good technique, because I was really trained on how to jump, but still it can be very, wearing on your body. Now, when you get about like 80, 90 years old or 100, which is my oldest client that I've had, they didn't care about jumping. All they cared about was being independent, right? Can I do things around the house that I have to do? They didn't care about the things they did when they were 16, when they were 20, even when they were 30. It's a whole different outlook, right? I'm 54 and I have a different outlook about things I would like to do compared to what I used to do. I'm like, I don't want to do that high impact jumping anymore. I don't want to wear high heels anymore. So we have a different perspective now. Yeah. So now that you've, think about the exercise that you would like to do, and maybe it's something you've done before, maybe it's a brand new exercise. Maybe now you get to figure out, how can I do with proper alignment and technique? Because the one thing you want to do is prevent injuries from happening as much as possible. Are you with me? Give me a little hands up in the mirror. This is clapping, hands up. All right, because dance is always my favorite thing, right? And there's always an opportunity to dance, right? Like right now, get your party on. Yes, see, dance. Now that you know, I want to pick this exercise, and you learn how to do with proper alignment. And that really means like not locking the joints, taking your time is a nutshell. The hips, knees, and toes are going the same direction. Your spine is long. Taking your time is very crucial. Now, sometimes you have to move fast for certain sports, and that's maybe because you're playing football or soccer, and there's more speed in those. But for us average folks, probably we don't have those Olympic goals. We just want to be able to play with our kids and our grandkids and our dogs and our cats. That's it. Okay. We want to have energy throughout the day. So now you have to think about, when I exercise, do I want to exercise alone or do I want to exercise with other people? Now, some people, they love to exercise by themselves. They don't want to work out with people ever. And sometimes that's why people never even join a gym. Now, I have a personal training client. She likes to work out by herself. Okay. She doesn't want to have a partner when I was training her. Okay, and that's fine. Now, some people on the other side, they like to go to a group exercise class where there's lots of other people. Okay? But now, since we're on lockdown and stay-at-home orders, and we have to think about our health and safety, which is number one, how can we work out with other people and stay safe? Well, you have your social media platforms. You can do that on Zoom. There is things like Google Meets. Okay, it's a way, even though we're not in person. Okay, but if somebody wants to go outside, like maybe you can exercise with your neighbor next door. I've seen people like exercise in their front yard or on their sidewalk, but they're still in front of their house and they're doing it together, which is really a great idea. And you get to like socialize with your neighbor, like, hi neighbor, and everyone's in front of their own yard, staying safe. Okay, or some people get in small groups, but still doing the distance. Now, like I said, at my job, we are offering classes. We're not doing the 6 feet distance. We're actually requiring 10 feet. So it's even further distance. Because, if you're with me on this, we don't even know what 6 feet looks like. Sometimes in the stores, when I see the little lines and the little dots, I'm thinking, that's not even 6 feet. These people didn't even measure. That is absolutely not 6 feet. And you know what I mean, because you go to that store, you're like, wait a minute, that is not 6 feet. All right. So we have 10 feet away, which I really like, be a little further distant, because sometimes we have spatial issues. We don't know anything about space. So think about, how do you want to work out? Do I want to work out alone? Would you be motivated to work out alone? Or maybe you need someone to help you to work out alone if you don't like working out with people. So someone to check on you. Like, hey, Laura, did you work out today? Someone to check on you to see if you did. You're like, yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And you check in with them. Now, if you want to work out with people, find a way to do that. So maybe in your front yard with your neighbors in their front yard, maybe in a platform like this, you can work out together. Maybe 2 people can work out on Zoom together. Have a buddy, have a buddy that you can work out with. Yes, you could take a senior class. There's so many different things. You can look at some things on YouTube. You can have a watch party and watch an exercise class. And there are lots of classes out there. And a lot of them, there's stuff that's actually for free or cheap. All right. So kind of like look around, see what works for you. And then too, if you are taking a class, I recommend strongly, if you are taking a class with with a trainer or a group exercise instructor, make sure you check out their background and, how qualified are they? Just because they have the perfect body doesn't mean that they're really qualified. We should kind of find out who you are. Just like if you have a limitation, please modify. So things like that. Now I have a class, one of my clients, she has RA, which is a type of arthritis, and she has it in her hands. So she can't do, like when I have her, do things like plank, I can't have her flat on her hands. So I have her on her forearm. So then her, there's no pressure on her wrist and her fingers. So you have to have those modifications, which means that we have to ask you a little bit about your medical condition and physical limitations. Right? So if you say, oh, I have bad knees, I want to make sure you're not jumping. I want to make sure that you are really even extra into doing the exercise correctly. Now, can I make a little note on this? It only takes 1 repetition to get hurt. All right. Just one time of doing something takes hurt. You don't have to do 10 repetition. You can do 1 repetition and get hurt. And I have seen things like that in the gym. So you have to be careful and just make sure, like, who are you working with? Make sure you check them out. And it's really great. I love it when people check me out. Like, who are you? Especially when I was young. Like, who are you to be telling me what to do? And they're like 60 and I'm like 20. Who are you? right? And then I had to explain my background. And I'm always learning. And I have lots of certifications behind my name. I have a degree, and I'm currently even in school right now because you can never know it all. So I'm constantly learning during lockdown. I'm taking 2 classes right now. So, and one's in physical therapy and one's like in another area. So this is just how you work out. Just, like old fashioned, you might have remembered this term, calisthenics. How many of you remember that term? Calisthenics. Basically, it's weight training with no weights, like doing, on the floor, doing crunches, doing push-ups, doing squats, doing lunges, those simple things still work. Yoga Pilates are really good. They don't require equipment. So you don't have to go out there and buy dumbbells. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time, about just helping you to stay healthy and fit and going at your own pace to stay as functional as possible. Now, the way I love to wrap up my session is like that, that positive affirmation and giving ourselves a compliment. So let's do that together. Go ahead and take your hand, all right? Take your hand. All right, take your hand, and we're gonna do. Someone mentioned Jack LaLanne. Oh yeah, remember that Jack LaLanne, Richard Simmons? I actually used to work at the studios. Let's take your hands and give ourselves a compliment and round your face, and you point to yourself. And what does that mean? You are beautiful. All right, so just thank you for giving yourself a compliment. Work out at home. You don't have to have a gym, membership right now. Just go back to how we used to all do it before the gyms. I love gyms, but before it all started, we used to do the old school, like how Jack LaLanne and Richard Simmons. And I actually had the opportunity to meet Richard Simmons. It was so cool. We were just exercising old school. No gym required, no equipment, none of that. So take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay connected. And, keep on. And thank you to Miss Lori just for, keeping us connected and for us to always work on our self-care. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. She's always so peppy and positive and always reminds us to, give ourselves a compliment. I appreciate that so much. Before we bring Julian, just real quick, how many of you actually have fitness equipment at home? And how many do you use it? Or is it a dust collector? I know my mom used to have all kinds of treadmills and stuff like that years ago, and I don't remember if she used it all that much.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I used my treadmill to the point that the walking belt had to be replaced. And
There you go. I just don't remember.
The guy from Sears said he'd never replaced one before. He had to look it up.
Oh.
So.
Well, Julie, welcome. Where'd you go? Let's see.
Hi, I'm right here. How are you, everybody?
Good.
Happy Saturday.
Let me also make you a co-host. I do have us streaming on YouTube today. I made it work. And I'm going to make you a co-host because I know sometimes you share your screen.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so just a reminder, if I need to do like a 5-minute wrap, I'll just hold this card kind of up so I can stay on schedule. I am recording a little bit later a podcast, so I give my eyes a break from the Zoom before I do that.
No, that's so perfect. Happy Saturday, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here again. It has been a really fun day for me. We have neighbors moving in across the street, and I was trying to wrangle my dogs inside. And I thought how appropriate, right? That today I am talking about peaceful you and finding joy in stressful times, right? And here I came home, I ran an errand, and I'm running around. I'm like, come on, dogs, come in the house. I gotta go, right? And I'm thinking, I can't go talk about, finding joy and being peaceful unless I really need to center myself. So I had to take a moment, right, before I logged in and before I did that, and really just begin to breathe and really connect it to the present moment, because I think that especially when we're going through a lot of different things, when the world is just pitching stuff at us, it's important to really be able to connect. And sometimes, we think that mindfulness and meditation and all of these things and clearing our mind and being so peaceful means that, if I am not thinking of anything and I'm just sitting here like, we're doing it right. But that's not it. How many of you, by a raise of hands, for those of you that can see, how many of you can control the beating of your heart? Can you really? Yeah, if it starts to beat really fast, you can bring it down. But you can't say, okay, stop, and I'm going to stop my heart from beating for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or even a minute, right? We can't do that. That's an involuntary action of our body. Thinking and the way that the brain is processing information is also an involuntary thing that our body, our mind does. So we have to know that finding that peace and being peaceful and being joyful, and the joy comes from that peacefulness that we find within ourselves, is not going to come from us trying to avoid what the mind is saying. It's going to come from us trying to get rid of the stress around us, or from hiding, or from whatnot. Finding that joy is going to come from knowing that even when we're sitting in a quiet spot, even when we are trying to take care of ourselves, or we're trying to find a little bit of connection and peace, we're going to have all these things going through our brain. And really, what I want to remind us is that what we focus on grows. So think about how many times have you been out running an errand and you have a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden, like, the line seems to be longer. People tend to be taking forever to ring up, and then traffic, you hit all the lights, right? How many of you had that happen? What is happening is that our brain normally wouldn't be focusing on all these little things, but because we are focusing on that, the shortness of time, how long things are taking, are starting to really grow. And we are seeing them more than typically we wouldn't if we have all the time in the world, if we are just going about our business. So for those of us who are here in the United States, we have Thanksgiving coming up. And once Thanksgiving hits, it's like boom, 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 Christmas, New Year's, Happy New Year, January, right? So we have a lot of that going on. Of course, we also have pandemic. We also have this thing that is kind of hanging over our heads, and then the cloud keeps going by and it stops, and then it grows, and then we really, just like a cloud, what is going on in the world right now, there's not a lot that we can do to wipe that cloud away. We can grab an umbrella if it rains, right? We can go inside, we can dry ourselves off. So there's certain things that we can monitor and control, but overall, everything that is going on in the world is not something that we are able to, again, get a hold of. So the more that we begin to think of these things, the more that we begin to focus on them, the more that they're going to be more overwhelming for us. So I want to teach us a little bit about finding joy today. And I want to teach us about something that will help us connect to that place inside of us that we can go back to at any time that we are finding that we need to center ourselves. So first and foremost, I'm going to ring a chime. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can hear me because I couldn't connect my microphone. So hopefully you'll hear the noise. So ready? Let me know. And what I want you to do is just to hear the chime. And then when the chime finishes and you no longer hear it, I want you to you can put up a peace sign, or you can do the love sign, or you can, put your hand up, give me a signal that that's your own personal signal that you know that the chimes stop playing. Now, if somebody puts their signal up and you still hear the chime, don't put your signal up, okay? But I want you to just focus on you. So ready? I'm going to hit the chime once. Okay. Now the chime was still going. So now I want you to, all of you, close your eyes and I'm going to ring the chime again. Ready? Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And when you finish hearing, when the sound is no longer present, I want you to put your signal up. Ready? Okay. So open up your eyes. Here's one of the things that the reason that I wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to have you listen intently. There are so many things that we can do in our daily life to really be able to connect to that peaceful us and then bring joy into our lives. Mindful listening is one of them. Now, you're not going to be walking around with a little chime, ringing it for yourself, paying attention to it. But all of us have different sounds going on around our homes, around wherever we may be. So anytime that you are in your car, or anytime that you are maybe sitting at home and there's all kinds of chaos, or you're trying to fall asleep, right? I want you to use some of your senses to begin to connect to the place of mindfulness, and that place where you can start to experience some of the peace that then leads you to feeling more joyful. Joy is not necessarily feeling happiness all the time. And can we feel happy all the time? Some would argue yes, some would argue no, right? But one of the biggest things that we can do is really begin to create the little moments every day that we can start to connect and sort of weaves in more peace for ourselves that can lead us to feeling joyful, even in the midst of the things that we cannot control. So for instance, if you start to, you're driving around and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to get to the grocery store. It's going to be really crazy if I don't get there. I want you to start to listen intently. We hear a lot of the stuff that's going on around us, obviously, but how intently are we listening? Do you listen to the sound of the car tires? Do you listen to maybe some of the traffic that's going on around you? Do you listen to the silence of sitting in your car and not hearing some of, because we really try to fill that empty space. And sometimes when we're trying to fill that empty space is because we don't want to be aware of the feelings of discomfort around us. Here's the thing. The more that we try to avoid, and our brains will do it, right? Discomfort. How many of us like pain? Right? None of us. None of us like pain. And our brain is going to say, danger, danger, run away from it. So we are going to, in times of stress and in times of worrisome, in times of difficult situations, we are going to want to run away from all of that. But what I want to offer you is let's try to connect from those feelings. Connecting to the feelings of difficulty or uncertainty. It doesn't mean that you are trying to shut them away, but it means that you are allowing them, just like clouds in the sky, you're allowing them to pass. So if you are connecting to the present moment, connecting to the time maybe that you're in the car or you're sitting at home and you hear the television in the background. And what if you sat in a quiet spot for a minute, and then for 1 minute, and you can set a timer on your phone, and you can say, you know what, I'm just going to sit here. I'll hear my kids in the background. Maybe I hear the neighbors outside. And just be aware of what does it feel like to be right there in that present moment. And really, many of us forget what it feels like, right? What are you feeling right now when you're sitting in your chair? Is their chair comfortable? Let's think about it. Fidget again in your chair, everyone. And and begin to think about, like, where do you feel the support? Are your feet on the ground right now? Maybe your feet are, one on top of the other. Where do you feel the support of the chair? In the back of your thighs, your lower back? These are all of the things that we begin to experience. This is creating mindfulness for ourselves. It's creating a moment that we are connecting to the present. Our brains are trying to protect us from all the worries and all the things that we cannot control. And mostly the feeling of anxiety is a feeling of us being in the future. It's a feeling of us worrying about what's happening tomorrow, what is coming, and oh my gosh, is this going to happen? Is that person going to do that? Or am I going to be able to see my loved one? Do I have enough turkey for everyone? Do I have too much turkey? No one is coming over. Or what is going on through your mind? So as we take a moment and let's all sit down again and notice again, what is it like to be in this moment sitting? Anybody want to describe what they're feeling right now? Don't be shy.
Anybody? I mean,
I will.
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
feeling a little antsy right now.
Me too.
Huh? Yeah. Why are you feeling antsy? Tell me a little bit about what you're
I'm
experiencing.
just sort of thinking of, like, going through in my head all the things that I need to do.
Okay.
Just
So Deborah,
making
tell
my
me a
list
little
in my
bit
head.
about, so put your feet on the ground. Are your feet right on the ground?
Yeah,
Okay. Where are your hands right now?
on my desk.
Okay, what do they feel right now? What are they feeling? What are your hands and your fingers and maybe your wrist? What do they feel like? What are they touching? Is the desk hot or cold?
No, I don't know. I
Okay.
mean,
So look at your hands and I want you to take a deep breath. Nope, put your hands back on the desk
Oh.
like you had them. All right, so take a
Okay.
deep breath.
uh-huh.
Ready? We'll do it together, everyone. Let it out. Take another deep breath. Let it out. Take one last breath and really deep, deeper than before. Ready? And let it out. Now, slowly, without moving your hands, pay attention to where your hands are right now, ladies. Deborah, you especially. What do your hands feel like as you begin to notice them? Look at your hands. Look at the position in which they're in. Notice, is the surface, are they touching each other? Do you feel that, or are you touching the desk? Is the desk hard?
Yeah, the desk
Smooth?
is hard. I've got one hand on the desk, the other hand on top of each of it,
So now put
or
your
my arms.
put all your attention into your hands and put all the weight into your hands. And watch your hands. Look down at your hands. And then begin to look at, what does the pinky feel in the right hand? Do you feel any of the pulsating of your pulse? Do you feel that?
Mm-mm.
How about anybody else? Does anybody else feel that? Okay, so Deborah, now forget your hands for now, but tell me a little bit about the room that you're in right now. Describe that room to me. What do you see?
It's my office area where I generally do my work, my
Mhm.
teaching.
Okay,
But I share the space with my daughter. It's
okay.
a mess.
You're not allowed to say that. Describe it to me without putting it down and saying it's a mess. What do you see?
I see pillows, pictures, toys, desks, chairs, papers.
Pick one thing around the room and look around, and everybody do this. Pick one thing in the room that you like, that maybe makes you smile. Maybe it's something someone gave you, or it has a funny saying. Pick something in the room.
Okay.
Okay. So now take a deep breath, everyone. Ready? And look at the thing that you were just thinking about or you just saw, right? And focus on that thing. Where did you get it? What does it do? Did someone give it to you? Does it make you smile?
Mhm.
How many times do you come in and out of your room roughly in a day?
Probably, you mean in my office?
Mm-hmm.
Um, 2, 3, about 5 times.
Okay. When you're coming into your office, is the object that you looked at and you were thinking of, is that something that you typically, every time you come in, think, oh, I love that. It brings me such joy, or what a fun thing it is, or this thing was given to me by so and so. Is there an opportunity that you do
Oh,
that when you
sure.
come in and out?
Sure.
Hmm. So, for instance, Gail is saying that the pictures of her granddaughters make her smile. Many times, one of the things that happens for us is that we come into a room that has many things that have joyful memories and ideas or things that surround us, that we just come in and out and we're not focusing on those special, meaningful, or even trivial things, right? We're coming in, oh, I got to go get that done. Oh, I got to get on the computer. Oh, I need to get that piece of paper out. Right? So one of the things that I want you and I want to focus on and I want to challenge all of you on, especially as we're beginning this journey of peacefulness, is I want you to once a day pick a room that you enter into and take the moment to use your senses. What do you see? Sometimes just sitting in silence and saying, what do I hear? What do I see? That is a form of mindfulness. That is a form of being present in the moment. I not one that sits around for an hour and meditates. I think I have a challenge of, after 20 minutes, if that, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go, I gotta do this, I gotta get on with my day, right? Mindfulness is not something that we all of a sudden begin and can do perfectly. Mindfulness is something that we practice at. We practice at doing. And the more that we become aware of our surroundings, the more that we use our senses to bring us into the moment, then we can become to be more joyful. Our homes are surrounded by all of the things that we love. Our homes are surrounded by all of the things that we enjoy and we want to have in our lives. But we allow ourselves to walk sort of in the state of going about it in sort of a autopilot. So as we continue to go in and look for joy throughout our day, most of us do, Michelle was talking about exercise, right? And all of the benefits. And I'm sure she talked about the benefits of the endorphins and the this and the that. All of that goes hand in hand with our ability to be able to then find the little moments of peace. It's not the half-hour meditation. Maybe it is if we gradually get to that place, but maybe it is the moment in which we walk into a room, and rather than jumping right into that moment, that we take the opportunity to just breathe in. Maybe we sit in the chair and we feel like, okay, what does this chair feel like? Or maybe it's the moment in which we make ourselves a cup of tea and we really, we pop it in the microwave or we boil it. I know some of you are probably like, what? Pop it in the microwave. Okay, well, we boil the water. I make my tea. I boil the water and everything, right? And I have my little teapot. But to me, little things like that. Pick little moments throughout your day that can become ritualistic. I don't know if I showed you guys this last time. I'm working on getting my water in for the day. This is a gallon of water. So when I go to fill it up in the morning, I can put it under the filter, open this thing, put it under the filter, walk away. One of the biggest things, because I have been feeling in the last couple of weeks, as things are starting to come and go, that I needed to bring more mindful moments into my day to create more peace. And the more that I feel at peace, the happier that I become. We sometimes feel that finding joy and being peaceful is the big moments. The big, big things, right? Oh, Thanksgiving dinner or family outing. That's going to be the big thing that brings me joy. It's going to make me peace. It is not about that. It's the little moments that we create. So when I wake up in the morning, if I have been on track, I usually leave about this much where it says well done, 9 p.m. So I don't drink 100% of it, but I leave enough so that in the morning, I can take and drink that entire thing and empty it out before I start my day. When I come downstairs, I put it under the filter. And then rather than walking away, I watch it be filled. And I listen to the water and I listen to the sound. And I see as the water begins to move up. And I spend that time just focusing on that. It's maybe a minute and a half, if that, but it's allowing me to be present. It's allowing me to be here in something that is going to then nurture me for the day. But that presence of mindfulness is key. Other ways in which I create mindfulness for myself, and that mindfulness then ends in feeling more peaceful, is when I make my tea. I have a kettle, an electric kettle. I turn it on and I let the water go. And after that happens, then I begin to pour the water into the teapot. And I see the steam and I create a whole different sense of ritual that allows me to connect to that moment. All of us have different things that we go about and we do daily that are just automatic, they're routines, and some of us are incorporating new things into our day, new things into our life that are helping us be better. So my challenge and what I want to encourage each of us as we begin to get busier is remember, we are going to have all of these things outside of us that we have no control over. But what we can control is really how we choose to show up, how we choose to be in the moment. When we wake up in the morning and the first thing that we do is we pick up our cell phone, we're not in that moment. Take a moment as you open your eyes and do a body scan. Begin to close your eyes and say, oh my God, I'm awake. This is so great. This is a new day. It's a new opportunity. And like, oh my gosh, thank you for my feet. You carry me all day. Oh, my knees are a little cricking. They make that noise, but they bend, right? And allow me to sit down. Oh, wow. My lower back, I carry that tension, but thank you, lower back, for being part of my torso. My hands, they're the ones that allow me to do chores. What about my face? And little scans of yourself and in that body scan will help you be connected to the moment. Maybe as you're loading the dishes into the dishwasher, several different things. So those are the things that will bring you joy and will help you become more peaceful. Not all of a sudden, you have this inner peace that, like Buddha and, you're shining. It is just the moments that you're creating for yourself that will help you be joyful and be more connected to you, as opposed to spending time in the future over the things that you can't control. I wanted to read something before I finished. I know that, my time is running up, but this is the one thing as well that I wanted to share. This is one of my devotional books, and maybe some of you are familiar with it. It's called The Journey to the Heart by Melanie Beattie. And she is, can everybody see it okay? I love this book. I start the day with this book, and I think that I don't know how she does it or how the book does it, but every time when I read it daily, right? But most days I'm like, oh my God, this is so apropos. When I read this morning, I thought I really want to share this with the ladies today, because I feel that this is something that as we move on through the next few weeks, I want you to keep in mind. So if you want to take a moment, let me read it. It says, cherish moments of solitude. The clerk at the lodge guided me to the cabin, a small secluded house a mile away from the main lodge in Northern California coast. Will you be here okay? He asked, all by yourself? I answered yes, and I meant it. My ability to be at peace with solitude has taken a lifetime of cultivation. Peaceful solitude is different from isolation. Being forced to be alone is different from forced seclusion, where we grasp frantically for some kind of connection, something to make us feel not alone, then finally sink fearfully and unwillingly into isolation. On our adventures, we are called to face many fears. The universe won't let us hide from our fears, at least not for long. One of the fears we may be called to face is the fear of being alone. We may need to face it, feel it, heal from it, and we will be grasping, settling for, surrounding ourselves with anything or anybody, so we don't have to be alone. If we don't face it, solitude will become instead a solitary confinement. Cultivate moments of solitude. Learn to cherish your privacy, your quiet time. Learn to be comfortable with being alone with yourself. The most content we can become in the moments of solitude, the more joy and love you will discover in the times with others. Cultivate solitude. It will help you cultivate love. So as we go forward, don't be afraid of spending time with you to connect to the moment, to find the moments of peacefulness in the mundane, in the everyday, so that as you find these moments of mundaneness that you weave together, you're weaving peace for you so that you can be more joyful every day with others. Okay? So thank you again, ladies.
Thank you. So number one homework is next time you have some water, make it a mindfulness moment.
That's right.
Even though it doesn't have taste, like try to find the taste. and the wetness and hear the gulp perhaps. Right,
Yeah,
Julie? And
absolutely.
another piece of homework is try to, if you don't already have an item in each room that makes you happy, let's put something there.
Mhm.
And I know my job is going to be to find that new focal point in my kids' room. Because when I go in there, I do see mess, Deborah.
That's
It's
right.
like, you're like, I see a mess. And it's easy to spot that mess instead of the happy item. So when I go into my room, into my kids' room, obviously my children bring me joy, but I'm going to look for that one spot. Maybe that was like a Christmas present or something that reminds me of them when they were really little, or
Mhm.
happy moment. You know, they have pictures of Hawaii or the lake, you know. So I'm going to start walking into each of my room and I'm going to look at that thing that makes me really happy. Even in my kitchen, I actually seem to look at the clock first, but I see the time. And now what I need to see in that clock is my daughter made me that clock.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
instead of being, challenged, I'm going to challenge myself in seeing the happiness of the clock rather than maybe being rushed for time, or why am I checking the time because I'm anxious to go do something else.
Right.
So I'm going to look at that clock differently. Very
In your moment. And ladies, the other thing, don't forget, and I don't know if you could see it, but gratitude. If you're not doing your daily gratitude, you must. And that's where the moments and connecting to the things in each of the rooms in your house will help you find it.
Very good. Well, everybody, are there any final questions or comments before we say goodbye today? I want to thank everybody for being here, especially our speakers, both Julie and Michelle, who are here. Thank you so much. This is going to wrap up our 2020 programming. I'm actually going to connect with a lot of our presenters actually to do some one-on-one videos with me so I can upload it to the app. That way people can kind of go on demand and have, like 15-minute wellness breaks between now and the next session, because we're going to reconvene in 2021 and bring a journal, because Julie is actually going to be talking to us about rewriting your story. Do you have any, if anybody happens to be planning to join us then, do you have any tips for that you want to share in preparation, or do you want to just leave it alone? I think
No, I think that if you're, bring a journal is perfect, but also I want you to look at what story have you been telling yourself about you. If you were the movie of the week, what would your story be? And then let's already become a little aware of what we say about us, our life, and what we've done and who we are, so that as we begin to rewrite our story, and maybe our story doesn't need rewriting per se, but it needs just a new chapter that we're going to rewrite for the future, right? So begin to think about, like, where have you been? And who are you to this moment? And that's going to help us spring forward to the next step.
I'm going to keep us here for just one more minute for a couple of announcements, but I am going to say goodbye to our YouTube audience. So bye-bye to YouTube.
Bye-bye,
Thanks for being
YouTube.
here.